Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be going over this creepy uncle lightsaber, and this is a special creepy uncle lightsaber because it's actually one of the first lightsabers that I ever built for a customer, because I did a batch of maybe 3 or 4 of these back when I was first starting to make lightsabers for customers, and I made some videos on TikTok showing it off and saying that I could build it for some people. And this is one of the very first ones. I think it might be the first video I have on my channel, but in any case, this thing came to me, it was all busted and broken, so I was just gonna fix it. It's actually been like 2 years since I've seen this, maybe more at this point, because it was probably, what was it, 2021 or 2022, something like that. So it's been nearly 2 years since I've seen this lightsaber. And when it came to me, it wasn't working, so I had to do a little bit of trial and error to figure out what was wrong with it. I did a few things to start off, and I'll just be going over some of the process I went through and what was actually wrong with it. It's going to be a pretty fast video today. It's not going to be like the 2 previous ones that I filmed for the previous 2 days. I'm filming all 3 of them at once, as you can tell from my shirt. But they're all going to be released one day after another. In any case, let's get right to it and I'll show you the lightsaber. Alright, so the first thing I do when I get a broken lightsaber is I need to troubleshoot it to see what exactly is going wrong with it. So step 1 is to just take it out and make sure that all the connections look okay. That was a pretty nice pop. Well, anyways, sorry, that was a bit distracting. But you want to make sure that everything is going okay. From what I could tell, the board was floating a little bit from the release of the Captain tape, and the reason I have the Captain tape on there, hold on if it'll focus, the reason I have the Captain tape on there is because this chassis is not actually built for Bluetooth, which I do have a Bluetooth module in here, and the way that this is set up with the Bluetooth module, it's harder to take the SD card out. So the reason I have the Captain tape there instead of gluing the soundboard down is so that you can undo the Captain tape or replace it with new Captain tape every now and again, is so that you can lift the board up and remove the SD card a little easier. So that's why I had to go with that. It's not the prettiest thing, but it works and it's highly functional. But yeah, I recommend to Gavin, whose lightsaber this is, every now and again, maybe replace some of the Captain tape. Make sure this is fully pressed down, the soundboard. Make sure the soundboard's fully pressed down whenever you put it back in after taking the SD card out or whatever else, and put the Captain tape on so it's nice and secure, it's got fresh new tape, and that none of the connections are going to touch anything. So the first thing that I did was made sure that all the connections were okay. It looked like everything was fine. And then the second thing I did was, of course, test to make sure it got power. So you take this out. This is how this creepy uncle chassis works. If I can adjust the camera, there you go. So you put the battery in, negative towards the negative, positive towards the positive, turn it on, and then you put it in the lightsaber and make sure it works. So when you put it in, it doesn't work, right? When it doesn't work, you have to figure out, all right, why doesn't it work? Now with this, I know from experience that with this lightsaber setup in particular, I don't know why, but pretty much every single one of the creepy uncles that I've made does this. When you put in the battery initially, it doesn't tend to work or it does something different. So you have to do it a couple times.
Not directly.
You can hear that. So you just unscrew it a little bit and then put it back in, and then it works. So let me show you that one more time. So you take out the battery. Make sure that it is in the on position. Put the lightsaber in. If it doesn't work initially, well, it did this time, but if it doesn't work initially, just unscrew it a little bit till it turns off. Screw it back in, and it'll connect. So that weird glitch happens with almost every creepy uncle that I have. No idea why it happens, and I've spent hours and hours trying to figure it out. But that is the easiest solution, is just unscrew it until everything turns off and then screw it back in. It takes a couple seconds until you got it right. But when I've got this to trial test, in order to troubleshoot it to see what the heck was going on, everything turned on, and it did do the no font thing detected initially. So what I did was I plugged this into the computer, and I still have the config files and everything for this lightsaber, because unfortunately I keep everything. I'm gonna have to go through and like clean out all my older stuff because it's taking up a lot of space on my computer. But in any case, I re-uploaded the config, and everything seems to be working. Now, the chassis was loose, so it kept sliding up and down. This is something that happens over time if you don't do anything to secure it. What I had initially is the friction of this chassis was so strong that I just left it in, and I thought it was perfectly fine. But over time, apparently, it wears down. So this chassis will slide ever so slightly up or down or be a little loose. Now that's not too much of a problem if all the connections make, connection, but it's weird and annoying. So what I did was I went in and replaced, I went in and I replaced, okay, it's a bit of a tight fit here, but I replaced one of the screws. I replaced this screw here with a slightly longer one. As you can see, it's different. It's not a Phillips head or whatever. It's one of these guys. So I replaced the screw with a slightly longer one, and that way it holds the chassis in place and it doesn't move. So it's rock solid. It's not going anywhere. It is a bit of a tight fit with the clamp card though. So that, I guess, is a bonus, but also a detriment because it's a little bit harder to put on. But you just slide it over and there you go. Not coming out at all. But yeah, that holds the chassis in place. And those were all simple fixes, but none of it was an issue. Excuse me, sorry, still recovering from my lost voice the past few days. But this was pretty much not an issue. I fixed all the tiny little things in this section, but when I plugged it in, the emitter wouldn't light up. So now that I know all that works, and when you turn it on, the chassis pixels here, those work perfectly fine. So I know everything here is set up as it should. Now the issue is this guy. So what I did was, when I shook it to see if I could hear anything, but I unscrewed the neck, because the number one thing you don't want to do with thin neck lightsabers is unscrew the neck, because that will pretty much break the lines in there or put it at high risk of breaking the lines, or the wires that are connecting the NeoPixel connector in here and the emitter NeoPixel connector up here. So what I did was I figured, okay, they're probably broken, so I just unscrewed the neck, and what do you know? The wires come out easy, no resistance, nothing. So it looks like the issue for this lightsaber, and besides the tiny little things that wore down over time with this, was the emitter broke. So from what I could tell, at some point something might have happened and this might have gotten unscrewed enough to cause that sort of tension on there. So it broke the lines in there. So all I had to do was go in, pop out the NeoPixel connectors, excuse me, pop out the NeoPixel connectors, and then rewire them. So I did that, set it all up, set it up with new glue, new wires, and it's all good to go. So the number one thing you don't want to do with something like this is when you put in a blade, if it's a snug fit, you don't want to twist it counterclockwise, because that opens up all the threads and it's more risk of the emitter coming off or the neck coming off. So whenever you operate a blade, clockwise. So clockwise going in, clockwise going out. I won't be showing that to you today, but I will show you that this lightsaber does indeed work. So after I fixed that, you plug it all in. It's got my chassis detection thing. And boom, lights up. And it works just like normal. So hopefully you guys enjoyed watching this troubleshooting thing, and I'm actually going to close off the video instead of here. I'm very used to closing off my videos here. I will close off with that face angle. Here we go, let's close it off with this camera angle. So that is how you troubleshoot a lightsaber, and that's the process that I went to troubleshoot to see what was going on with this, and I let you know what was wrong with it. It was just the broken wires in there, and then I added a few extra just quality of life things, adding the longer screw to hold the chassis in place. That keeps everything nice and solid. I did actually add some glue to the Bluetooth module so that it wouldn't move as much. So that's a little extra thing. I put in a new Captain tape to make sure that it doesn't wear down too much. But make sure, Gavin, to replace it every now and again. To replace it every now and again. Sorry, can't speak. With some new Captain tape, if you'd like, just to make sure that it's all holding nice and good, and none of the connections touch anything to fry. But other than that, hopefully you liked the little view of this lightsaber, and it was actually quite cool quite cool to work with this again. So, hope you like it, and hope everyone liked this video and a little bit of an insight on how to troubleshoot a broken lightsaber.